Hey folks, it's Nick Granville. So that was Pat Metheny's song called Bright Size Life from the album of the same name. Really killer album. If you haven't heard it, you should check it out. I thought today what I'd talk about is this guitar I have here. I had quite a few people ask about what modifications I've done to this guitar, so I thought I'd do that. I modify all my guitars. I'm not precious about them in that sense, like keeping it original to try and sell it later on or whatever. To me, it's a tool. So I want the tool to be able to do what I want, right? So I modify things as and when needed. One of the first things I've done, and I've talked about this in the demo review thing that I did of this, was to move the strap button to here, from here. And it just makes the whole guitar balance a little better. It is a little neck heavy because it's such a light, small body, but I'd rather that than have a heavy guitar. I don't want a heavy guitar these days, I can play a 2-hour gig with this and it's like nothing. I go away afterwards and I have a problem with my shoulder too, so it's one of the reasons I like a lighter guitar. I actually broke my collarbone, or dislocated it I should say, when I was a teenager. So yeah, that was no fun. Believe me, it was excruciatingly painful. And so now I have a weak area there, so that makes a big difference, just having a light guitar and having the strap button there. It's really where a 335 would have the strap button. Next thing I did too is I went up a gauge of strings. This came with 10s on it. I don't like 10s. I find them too light for me. I tend to, I pick a little bit hard sometimes. Most of the time my touch is pretty light, but occasionally I want to dig in when the time comes. And I find 10s, they tend to go to tune, or I can't really get my thing going on. So it's like 11s is what I use, 11 to 49. And I bend strings, it's not... You get used to whatever, my buddy Josh Smith, he plays 13s or something on his guitars, tuned to regular pitch, and I'm like, dude, how do you play it? Like, I played his guitars a couple of times, I'm like, how do you play this? And it's just what he's used to, so you get used to anything. So anyway, because I went up to 11s on it, the nut had to be recut, so I just got my tech to make a new bone nut in it, because it had a plastic nut when it came. I get these are built to a price point, it's all good, so I got them to put a bone nut in it because it had to be recut anyway. So it's had a bone nut in. The most recent thing I've done is I've taken a little bit of the finish off the back of the neck. I much prefer like a raw wood finish. So with this I just took a little bit of 600 grit sandpaper, and I've done this with quite a few guitars, and I just made it feel a little more like a satin finish rather than a gloss finish. It feels much nicer. I just prefer that. Like probably one of my favorite necks on any of my guitars is my AZ model, because it virtually feels like raw wood. That's the ultimate. I didn't take it right off. I don't think you necessarily need to. Maybe one day I will, but right now that feels about right. I did change the neck pickup in this guitar. There was nothing wrong with the Super 58 that was there. To me it sounded very jazzy. It was really, really warm, and that might be an attribute that a lot of people like, but for me, I play a lot of like funky groove kind of stuff, particularly in that in-between position. And it really, this combination really works well there. So I had Glenn Evans, a really great builder here in New Zealand. I had him custom build me a pickup to go in here, and it's his minus 5% underwound. So it's a little bit brighter than a normal humbucker is, a little bit lower output. I prefer lower output. I don't really like hot out pickups mostly. This is still the original bridge pickup. I was really happy with that in that position. So I just had that changed, and while we did that, we changed over the pots as well, and the input jack. These are CTS pots now instead of the generic Asian version that were in there, the mini pots. I prefer the taper of CTS. They're the difference between full and 6 on CTS pots is about what 10 and 2 would be on an Asian pot. The smaller, you know what I mean by the Asian pots, the smaller sized ones. So I prefer the CTS ones, so I got them done, and I got the input jack just replaced because, while we're doing that, I might as well rip. So basically all the electronics came out, except for I kept the coil taps. They're still there, so it's the same in that sense. So those are the modifications I've done. Will I do anything more? Not really. Can't think of anything else to do. I mean, one modification I'd love to do if I ever got a custom guitar is I'd love to have a single coil there as well, and have that on an individual switch. So just so you could get a real single coil thing, have it kind of about there, and then you could do that, you know, kind of Stratocaster type thing-ish, a little bit every so often. I mean, my favorite pickup setting is to have humbucker, single humbucker. That'd be ideal. And actually, even then, a mini humbucker in that slot would be awesome. But those are the modifications I've done to this guitar. I use this all the time. It's my #1 guitar. It's a beautiful instrument. It's not an expensive instrument, but I don't think the value, what you pay for something, is necessarily the important part to me. You know, I've played really expensive guitars that I've just gone, yeah, okay. And then I've played it like other guitars that were like cheap and just sounded, and they inspired something, and that's the key thing. For me, this is like the smaller 335, right? I've got a SCO guitar, which is quite a big version of this, and I love that guitar too. It's really great, but this is just more comfortable, and like I said, it's being lighter. It doesn't put the pressure on my shoulder like that other guitar does. So anyway, my name's Nick Granville. Thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. The PayPal account is open if you want to, for the digital tip jar, if you want to help out with that, that'd be awesome. I'm really enjoying doing this. I post on YouTube every day. It's been good for me in a lot of ways. It's like, you know, I'm getting up in the morning, warming up the chops, making sure I'm ready to go, having to think about what I'm going to show in these videos. Yeah, so if there's anything you'd like to see, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, thanks so much for watching.